This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from The Hunger Games and Crown of Midnight. For full list of mentions, please see show notes. There are also discussions surrounding suicide, violence, and murder.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing The Hunger Games, the movie.
Based off the book, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins.
And Jessica Marie, let's do this the way we did Twilight. Where were you? What were we doing? What was the vibe? Tell us about it.
Okay, so we did some publication release dates and all that stuff back and forth. The books came out in 2008 and the movies came out in 2012. I definitely did not read the books in 2008 when they came out, but I did start reading them when around the time the movie was going to come out. And then, of course, all the books were out by then and just binged through all of them. What about you?
I was not in a place to care about these books when they came out. I was doing my own thing when these books came out. It was just a weird time. But just like you, I read all of these books, all three of these books, I binged in a couple days. Honestly, it was so fast. It was just nothing. And I did all of that before the movie came out. Okay. And then I saw all of the movies in theaters.
How was that experience? Because I never saw the movies in theater.
It was fun. It was fun. It was before, oh my God, I'm going to date myself. It was before you had to have seat reservations at movies. Okay. And when you were still kind of lining up for it and it was a big deal. This was a huge movie release.
Yeah. I mean, this was still where you had midnight releases of things. That's still on that cusp in that window where people were excited. People were hyped. I think you lined out outside the theater to get your seats. I just never was part of that. I know they had a huge publicity push for the movie. Instead of Suzanne Collins doing book signings, they had Jennifer Lawrence do book signings here in New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. They'd have cast, even it wasn't just her. It was Josh and they just had cast signings, which is just a cool concept to approach publicity too.
Yeah. And also something that I don't think Jennifer Lawrence would ever do again.
Can you imagine her at a Barnes and Noble just at a table?
No, although I did see that she was paid $500,000 for this movie. And then for the next movie, she was paid $10 million.
Holy shit.
So there is that. There is that. We need to talk about the movie separately from the books.
Yes.
Right? We need to talk about the movie separately from the books. I will say, don't love the books. Don't love the books. That is because I am not a love triangle girly. And it's a lot of inner monologuing about
Peeta,
Gale,
yeah.
blah, blah, when it's more important things going on. And the ending. So, so here, movies only, movies okay. Just before we get started, do you like this film series?
I don't think I'm a good judge because I never saw the thing in its entirety. I remember, and I think I could enjoy the movie this time this way that we're covering for the episode because I remember reading the books, and then of course in my head books are always better than the movies because there was a very small detail related to Rue and Katniss' sister Prim that was in the books that was left out in the movie, but it's set up in book 1. The setup in book 1 has an impact in book 3. And I was already like, well, now the whole series is fucked. Like, I was like, you can't leave that out. That's like such an important part. And of course, it's been forever since I read the books. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I can tell you the emotion that I felt. So I only seen the first 2 movies. I didn't see the third one. Well, the third in like the 2 installments.
I have seen all of these movies 1,000 times.
You even recently did it when I came out. You were like, wait, I have to finish this before it gets taken off on Netflix and moving to another streaming platform. You were like, I just have to finish it. And editor Sam was like, you're still watching this?
Yeah, well, they're long. And I think that's a good thing too. Like, they're long. So this version, let's just get into it. So Jess, what version did you watch? I watched this on Amazon.
I watched this on Amazon Prime. I think it was like 2 hours and 14 minutes. Did not remember it being that long either.
Does not also feel that long.
No.
I don't think it feels that long. And I timed it because this is the first time that I have watched this movie with any sort of critical eye at all. Literally every other time I've watched this has just been for vibes. So this time I watched it, I checked, and Katniss is in the tube. She's in the tube at like the 1 hour 4 mark-ish, or 1 hour 7 mark-ish. So we have an hour of build-up until she's in the tube, and then we have an hour or so of actual tournament. And that's pretty good, I feel like, to cover one book.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't feel that way. I remember looking at, like, I think I was at 45. I go, this does not feel like we're an hour in. Like, everything's very quick. And there's a lot of things because, as we know with books, you have a world building aspect that you kind of get to take away because it's just an entirely visual component when it comes to, the screen.
Yeah. So very, very good. You're talking about the screen. Jess, tell me who these characters are before we start talking about the Treaty of Treason and the pattern.
All right. So we'll say our key characters, because obviously we know there's a ton of characters, at least 24 tributes from the 12 districts. So some of our key players that we'll focus on is Katniss, Gale, Peeta, Flickerman. I just love him. He's great. And it's also Stanley Tucci, because is there anything he cannot do? We have Elizabeth Banks as Effie, Haymitch, which is Woody Harrelson. We have Prim, who obviously is a driving component for Katniss, Cinna with Lenny Kravitz, and Rue from District 11, who is obviously another catalyst for all things in the Hunger Games for this first movie.
I will also add Jack Quaid for any The Boys fans.
Wait, who is he?
Jack Quaid is Marvel. He's the District 1 tribute.
Oh my God, he's such a baby.
Mm-hmm. I will also shout out Kato. Kato plays Bjorn Ironsides on the Vikings and is just incredible there. So talent abounds in this cast.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. But those are just, I can't say I wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention, but he was such a baby. This feels like the Michael Sheen thing all over again.
Oh yeah. Gia, and Jack Quaid too he's just like tall and like kind of goofy looking in the back with his mouth open a lot. And then he's just like being menacing, Kato's the big like menacing one, but he's excellent. I'm so excited to talk about this. Jess, I want to ask you, do you think this fits the pattern?
I didn't think so. I will say that because we were talking before the episode, and I was going to say and for anybody who's just joining us, the pattern, if you want to go back to our episode of the first week of October 2023, just a little background, is the beginning of the book, kind of giving the plot for the rest of the movie / book. I didn't think so, but I also, similar to like what we were talking about in our Twilight episode, I didn't think it did either until you brought it up to say like, no, look at the scroll, look at the text for this particular movie, because Twilight, you gave me another example. I was like, because in my head, I'm thinking the beginning of the movie is not referring to the text. It's when we see her hunting, when we see her with Gale, and Gale's like, let's run away together.
Right. And if you do like go from there, then it doesn't really, it's just kind of like foreshadows what she's good at, which I guess could technically count. But if we're starting at the beginning of the movie with the treaty of the treason, right? It tells us about reaping day, you have 12 through 18. The pattern, you have a lone victor, which like, okay, you have a lone victor. Then you like zoom in on the text and the text is like, woo, woo, woo. And you're like, okay, I wasn't paying attention to it now, but I'm paying attention to it now. So at the end, you're like, oh.
It's like when you're wondering when it's not text, but if they zoom in on a cup in a thriller movie, you're like, what's that cup? What's the significance? Why did you mention it?
Yeah, like, hello, what? And then, okay, so if we continue with the pattern, we have the Hunger Games being a pageant, which is, I guess, the plot. Like Haymitch even says, like, it's a TV show, like, deal with it.
Yeah.
Seneca is like, it's a reminder of the price we all paid. Seneca, you're going to pay your own price. What is your signature? And it cuts to screaming, which I think is just, very accurate. And then Prim is screaming and Katniss comforts her by singing to her, which, this is all there. So interesting. And then it cuts to just what you're talking about is the, I'll still cook you to the cat scene and the kind of very Appalachian cabin coal miner life that we are shown here in this like little set up Katniss's life montage.
Yeah, and I think it's, and it's funny because I don't think I picked up on this, obviously, when I initially watched it, but you see, like, even you flash forward to past the tribute, past the reaping, they bring the District 12, because at this point, especially if you haven't read the books, as a viewer, you only know that there were 13 districts. There are no longer. We only have 12. 12 is like, it's the last one. It's the furthest out from the district. So you have this like juxtaposition of extremities. They're like, oh, the higher your district number, the higher your floor. So it's almost like you get a taste of this. Look how the capital is like, look how accommodating we are to you. You get this whole life of luxury for, if anything, for 24 hours kind of thing to enjoy.
This is very true, especially, and that is shown here because like the cabins are very bleak. Everything is gray or blue or black or brown. Like the music is very moody. Like Katniss is out in the forest and it shows us that she has, hidden bows and arrows. She's hunting. There's deer. And then there is this, what is it? When all of a sudden I hear this grating voice. And it's Liam Hemsworth.
You never were a Gale girl, were you?
No, I was never a Gale girly. I was actually, to my horror, I was never a Peeta girl either. I was a Katniss can be on her own girly.
Oh, I love that.
I was always a Katniss can be on her own girly, especially because she's like, I don't ever want to have kids. She says that. This is my problem with the ending of the whole fucking series. She says that right here.
Yeah.
So like, I guess if you want to say, does this fit the pattern? No. I guess no. Spoiler for the whole series because she does end up having children. Spoiler with Peeta. But
yeah, I was never sold on either of them.
I was never sold on either of them. So I was always a Katniss on her own girly.
This is such an interesting thing for you to point out, though, too. And I think it shows the growth as we are as adults and revisiting things when we were younger, because I never was a fan of either of them, but I didn't think solo was an option.
Interesting.
Like I was like, well, I don't even remember who I think I liked Gale because of how he was with her sister.
Sure.
I think that was like why I leaned towards him, because I just didn't, I wasn't sold on either, but I was like, I guess if I had to pick one.
Yeah. Like, and that is also why I wasn't a huge fan of the books, because so much time is put to that when it could be just towards like revolution and dealing with her PTSD, which she like doesn't really do. Okay.
Do.
You know,
Yeah,
all right.
it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. We are still here with this horrifying, grating voice of Liam Hemsworth calling her catnip. Stop it. Stop. But it's, you know, it's very like, haha, what are you going to do with the deer? Birds, haha, shoot birds, woo, woo. You know, and then Liam's like, what happens if we all stop watching? Wah. You know, I could live in the woods. Rah. He cheated. He's a cheater. Okay. And it started here. Okay. All right. We stand Miley.
Oh, only Miley in our houses.
We stand Miley. Liam, just enough. But he says, you know, there's mentions of cutting out tongues here. That subplot is not touched until much later on in the movie series. The Avox, the capital servants that have their tongues cut out. The Avox, that subplot is not touched until later, but they do mention tongues being cut out right here. And then Gale, here's the thing. Do you remember in Drive Me Crazy how I talked about how like this is not a good movie? Like this is not a good movie. I genuinely, like, hand to the sky, feel that this is not a good movie until Reaping Day starts. Until Reaping Day starts. From then on, it's a good movie. But this
lead up
is, I feel, so clunky.
You know how, okay, so obviously I'm not a Star Wars girly fandom. I'm aware of it. I'm just not immersed in it. You know how like the original films from like, they always have like a scroll. Here's the backstory. Here's everything, blah, 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 blah. And then it picks up with whatever. Because we already have the text in this movie, could you have seen a benefit to have like a more continuation of the text there and then pick up on Reaping Day?
No, because the whole thing is to go back to what you said, like, I do feel like all those establishing shots are to show like the poverty, you know, and then like the juxtaposition, just like you said, of the capital. So like you do need all of that. I just feel like the dialogue is very clunky, and, you know, and Jennifer Lawrence is a fantastic actress. Like
she has the awards to prove it.
Yeah, like nobody can say that she's not a good actress. Like
right.
It's just you just can't. So and she like turns it on. I tear up in the reaping scene every single time. Like it's oh my gosh.
I don't remember the reaping scene being so emotional. I think it's because in like pop culture, meme culture, we're so used to being like, I volunteer as tribute. But everything, I think rewatching this, it was like, this is why this role put her on the map, because everything from her, I think from her interactions with the sister, from the reaping scene, even there's a one-on-one scene that she has with Lenny Kravitz where they're counting down 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and it's hitting her that this shit is real, and she starts shaking. Like, because she's like, I'm cool. It's fine. I got this. Here, let me shoot an arrow through the apple next to your skull. This is fine. We can do showmanship. But then it hits her. And I'm like, I feel scared for her.
Yeah, she's a fantastic actress. So to put her up against Liam Hemsworth, it's just like, it's like wood. They're like wood.
But she's great with these veteran people, with Woody, with Lenny, with Elizabeth. She's great there.
She's great. It's just, it's him.
Do you feel like there's somebody in your life or anyone in your life that you would be that overcome with like that reaping scene the way she was with her sister?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
Because you can tell she's like, she just acted, and then she was just like, there was just no thoughts. That was the first thing that was happening.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Wait, let's touch on everything before we get there. Because we have, you're talking about things that took you out of the movie when you were a kid. This pin scene took me out immediately because, like, where's the mayor's daughter? That whole scene, that all of it, like, drove me crazy. But she gets the pin by giving deadly nightshade. I don't know, what is she? Nightlock to the lady. Like, she's giving Nightlock to the lady. So I guess, more pattern stuff. And she gets the pin for free because, like, you gave me like unaliving
killer berries, yeah.
Like, dang, okay. But it's the whole like little duck. I also think this is awkward. This like little duck. Come on, little duck. It's like they had to get that dialogue in there from the book. And I do feel this delivery is clunky, but like, I understand, like, and especially later when she tucks it in, it's good. It's just like, but then they're lining up. The blood is taken. And then it's Liam Hemsworth. Are you okay? The fuck, dude?
No one's okay.
But Effie, God, I love Effie. Elizabeth Banks absolutely eats this role. She eats it.
I think it's so, what I love about watching it, because you're not watching Elizabeth Banks, you're watching Effie.
It's
and
Effie.
You have to remind yourself, oh, that's who's playing her.
Yeah, she's amazing. Everything that Effie does is perfect. Welcome. Yeah, welcome. Instead of ballads and whatever, snakes and songbirds, I want a prequel or a post or like later on of Effie and Haymitch. I want them deeply.
They want it deeply. Everybody wants it deeply. We just want it. But welcome. Happy Hunger Games. May the odds be ever in your favor. War, terrible war. Obviously, I love the growth of Effie's character. We don't have that yet. We do later. But she's so excited here with this war movie with Donald Sutherland. Hello. Donald Sutherland telling us, the audience, the backstory of why we're doing this, like why we're killing all of these children. War, terrible war. And she's miming the dialogue.
Yes.
Like, she's she is a proud member of Panem.
Yeah. So what happened? There was an uprising. Peace has a cost. So we have, 24 tributes. It's a reminder, it's a fight to the death. I love, they're just like, fight to the death. Fight to the death is the reminder. It's like, yo, okay.
For a reminder of our sacrifice. Like, this is why we do it. It's to remember the past and safeguard our future.
I just love that. I love you, Effie. I love every outfit that Effie's in. She is perfect. Ladies first. Primrose Everdeen. Okay, Jess, I was just going to ask you, but you answered it earlier. In the theater, you could have heard a pin drop. Everyone was just like, this is it. This is the moment, right? And everyone, like, I remember my hands were cold. I was just like, oh my gosh. And this... that she tucks in her shirt, right? And then like Jennifer Lawrence is running out like, I volunteer. They're screaming. Oh my God. I cry every time.
It's emotional. I'm like, you just feel it. You really feel in that moment. I can't imagine what that theater must have been like, because everybody there on opening weekend knows what's up. They read the books. They are there. This isn't like second, third weekend. Oh, I heard this movie was good. Let's go see it.
You were just like, oh my, and your eyes were wide and you're just like, you're in it. You're like, oh my God. Cause it's good. And then, Gale comes and like picks up Prim and like drags her off.
Yeah. I watch it rewatching at this time. I clutched, I was like, yeah, this is why I definitely probably was like, if I was leading someone, it was Gale, because she's like, take care of my sister. Like, do whatever you need to do. Get her out of here. Get her to see mom. Get her, that moment. I was, they don't, you see it from the beginning of the film. Even if we want to roll our eyes, everybody is clinging on to what they possibly have to create some sort of semblance of a life.
This hand signal, like,
The three fingers?
The three fingers. I have trouble with my hands. It's hard for me to do it. When every single time the districts or anybody does the hand signal, I am like moved. It's one of those things, because something that I think this movie does really well is the use of silence. Like the use of silence here is beautiful. And the way that people just like put up their hands and like do the Hunger Games three finger salute that I can't do with my fingers because it hurts, is moving every single time.
And it's something that you can't get depicted on page.
Right. It's just, it's a whole thing. It's really lovely. So after all of this drama, it's just like, now for the boys, Peeta Malark. And, you know, I have to say, like, Josh, his surprised face is just like, and, you know, I could never be an actor. I shouldn't shit on it, and I'm not going to, but he is our short king, and we love him.
How tall is he? I don't know.
He's little. He's our short king. Little. Let me see. I should take a look. Height. 5'5".
Oh, he's wee.
He's our short king. Our strong short king. You know, it all fits. It all fits here. So when Peeta's name's called, we have the bread flashbacks. We get the bread flashbacks like throughout all of this, but we get them here. And I do always kind of agree with Peeta. Like, yeah, you should have just walked over to her, man. You didn't have to throw the bread in the middle of this mud. And like the camera zooms in on it as it just soaks in all of this water. It's like, you know what? Yeah, walk your happy ass over there and give it to her. Like,
But, it's like, how do you tell a girl that you have a crush on her? Throw her the bread in the mud.
It's very funny, but
because even later in the movie, he's like, I shouldn't have done that. No,
you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. So the tributes are now in custody of the Capitol. So now they have to go from where they are in their districts to the trains and go to the Capitol. Effie's in charge of doing that. And it's kind of just like this montage of like mobs and traveling fast and like just a lot of information being thrown at you. And Effie's like, it's luxury, it's a luxury train. Like, rah. But
we're going 200 miles an hour. Like, you can't even feel it.
You can't even feel it. But they do get 3 minutes to say goodbye, like before this happens. So Katniss says goodbye to Prim, and she's like, look, don't take any other food. Gale will give you some game. Like, and this is where Prim gives Katniss back the pin. Like, this will protect you. Because I'm sure Primrose is like, this didn't protect. Get this the fuck away from I don't want this.
Or it could be like, oh, it protected me because my sister sacrificed herself for me.
It's
so
like, maybe you just
need
that.
it.
You just take that back. I didn't
realize that. I think it's two-part. I think I forgot that Katniss had a mom, honestly, because we always knew about Katniss and her sister's relationship. But two, her square, don't pull that shit you did with us, because I'm not here to hold us together. Like, once again, welcome to our generation of the kids having to parent themselves and the parent.
Oh, absolutely. She's like, you cannot go away again. Do not cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. And I like how Gale is like, look, get a bow. It's a TV show. Like, give them a good show. You are stronger than everybody. Like, you can hunt people, right? It's the same. And Katniss is like, Gale, what?
He's not wrong, though. It is a show at the end. Like, and he's like, just come back home. And his sister's like, oh, win. Yeah, well, I'm not trying to lose.
Yeah, she's like, win for me, come home, win for me. I know. I love that Gale is like, you can kill people. It's just like killing animals. That is okay. Knowing Gale's character arc, it is not a wild out of pocket thing to say, but that is a wild out of pocket thing to say in that moment to her. Like, yeah, you can kill people. It's fine. Like, dude, that's not really what we should be talking about right here. But we do get a very husky Jennifer Lawrence being like, don't let them starve. It's like she's catching. It's very emotional. It's very emotional. We do not have any footage of Peeta's goodbye.
Do we ever? Like in like the last movies? I don't know.
No, it just goes to show that like his family like doesn't care. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, we knew that because even in some of the flashbacks, his mom is yelling at him. And then he even says, like, my mother even yelled at me, oh, maybe we'll finally have a winner from District 12. And he goes, and she wasn't talking about me.
Yeah, for real. And like, how crappy is that? Jeez. Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson playing with his wig is one of my favorite things in this movie. Him just being like,
what did we say in our burlesque episode? We love a good bad wig.
We love a good bad wig. I love this good bad wig. He's constantly touching it. He's always like flip down. It's amazing. It's amazing. Woody Harrelson as Haymitch.
He doesn't have any hair. You know he had fun with it.
You know he had so much fun with it. He is a vegetarian. He only had dessert, vegetables, or drinks in this movie. He didn't, eat any of the meat. I was watching very closely, and I didn't actually see him swallow any of this stuff. It's the Hollywood, like, eating, kind of thing that they do. But he is chewing a lot. So I'm sure he actually did eat some of it. Just, I just think I like watching for that.
And there's so many substitutions, too. Like, think of when Lizzie Olsen did, like, what is it, Hot Ones or whatever. Mm-hmm. She's a vegetarian, so they didn't bring out Hot Ones chicken. Like, they did different, options. So there could have been just, like, lookalikes.
Yep. I love it. Haymitch, of course, he's drinking. He is the mentor. He's on the train. He is the only winner from District 12. He is looking at Peeta, who really wants his help. He's like, oh my God, you're so eager. The hair is flipping. And Peeta tries this. I'm bringing this up because Peeta tries to take the drinks from Haymitch, of course, which will be an ongoing kind of thing later on. But Haymitch, barefoot, is able to subdue Peeta, who we know is incredibly strong. And he's just like, woo, 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 foot. And that is just like not talked about or addressed or discussed like for the rest of the film. Again, desperately wanting to have Haymitch's full backstory. And of course later on in the movies and the books, we get a little bit more of Haymitch's time in the arena.
That would be interesting movie, kind of like with when Netflix did Queen Charlotte, where they had they casted a younger Queen Charlotte, so that it was like flashbacks in present day. If we had something like that with present day Haymitch, or like I say present day with Woody Harrelson Haymitch, with younger versions of his Hunger Games.
Yeah, it would
Time
be
to
excellent.
Watermark this. I don't know if Suzanne Collins is going that way.
Yeah, it would be excellent. Excellent. I love that Peeta is trying to play the game right away, right?
Right away. And Haymitch calls it out to Katniss too. He's like, he's playing to win. He's on his shit. Mm-hmm. You need to take a page out of his book.
Yep. It's quite something. Katniss has like her little moment, flipping through the TV, and it's like the moment a tribute becomes a victor, and it's just like, it's like straight up murder. But the next morning she comes into the train car, and like Peeta and Haymitch are like talking, right? And like, Effie's like doing her makeup or whatever, and she's looking around, and she's like, they're strategizing without me. What's the best way to stay alive, Haymitch? And Haymitch is like, get people to like you, and that's going to be hard because you're mean.
I don't. Here's my caveat to Katniss. Is she mean? Yes. Does she have walls up? Absolutely. But you can't be who she is and what she's had to do without having, those stipulations in place. You got, I think, I don't know. I have a lot of empathy towards Katniss because I can see why she's so reserved and keeps to herself.
Absolutely. Although I do feel like she's just not a quick study when it comes to playing the game. And
she's not, but she even says that with Cinna. She's like, when she tries too hard, nobody likes that. And he's like, just treat everybody like you treat me. And she's like, because I'm not trying with you. I like you. He's like, yeah, you're not trying.
Well, that's the whole theme of the later movies too, where like she just can't pull it off because she's like wood. Okay, but we're in this movie. Haymitch is saying like, you have to get sponsors, you have to get people to like you. And here's my favorite line: "That is mahogany." From Elizabeth Banks, Miss Effie, as Katniss like does her like knife thing to get Haymitch to talk to her. It's lovely. It's lovely. We are arriving at the Capitol. Peeta is playing his game. He's waving, This is my observation, Jess. I'm desperate to know what you think. My observation is the panning that they do of the people in the Capitol when this came out was like, oh my God, that's so wild. Look at all this crazy stuff. And now it's like, yo, tinsel eyelashes. That is cool.
I mean, even I was thinking,
pink
it's funny
dog.
You say that.
I like the pink dog. Let's go.
The colors, I say, it was avant-garde then. It's regular fashion now. But the scene, and I'm flashing forward to a little bit, but the scene where Katniss is talking to Tucci in her Girl on Fire dress, she has thin, long, wispy lashes at the end, not a full set. And it made me think, was this when the lash trend started?
Well,
was this what made us like, was this like how we were like slowly getting into this everyday kind of thing?
It is something to be talked about and discussed. Someone write a paper on it because the beauty team says something like,
they were
like, I think we need to hose you down again before we take you to Lenny Kravitz, which first of all, if you think that I'm too dirty to see Lenny Kravitz, then I am. Hose me.
Right? Do it a third time if you need.
If you think I'm dirty and don't need to be like, make me clean for Lenny Kravitz, please, would be my thought. But of course, Katniss is offended. She doesn't know it's Lenny Kravitz. And we are introduced to Cinna. The most perfect casting, the most wonderful man, Lenny Kravitz, so gorgeous. Just
nobody else should have ever do this role.
No, he's perfect. He's perfect here.
The makeover scene, where she's on the table and she's getting her legs waxed. It reminded me of the thing that you brought up in our Cricket with a K episode where you're like, you know what? People are going to be out. They're going to be fighting. Like you see, and it's the first thing I thought of where I go, oh, look, they answer the question. She's going to be in the woods. They're waxing her. And I get that that's for the appearances for Capital One. But then logic part of me is like, but what if she needs to stay warm? She needs to grow
But they also hope that it doesn't last that long, right?
Like your hair is not going to get as long as they have this competition.
Like they want it. It's not like Survivor. Like they
well,
want it. Except
I know.
But you're right. But also to your point, this is like a dystopian, like futuristic kind of setting. Like the Capitol is what the Capitol is. Don't they have a spray for that? Like, come on. Why are we still waxing?
Because it's always the dystopian. Because I was thinking about this, like what time, what kind of technology? We know one of the districts is like they have like a hyper focus on it. Like each district has its own thing. And one of the districts is technology. But then when you have, because politics and capital is controlling everything once they're in the Hunger Games, you see all this technology, but you have District 12 over here, you would think that they've never seen technology in their entire life.
Yeah. So like, where is the beauty spray to get me hairless, please? And
Where's the Nair?
Where's the Nair? Let's just distribute it. Because again, this is kind of reinforcing this beauty team too, that this is a TV show. This whole thing is a massive production. And I will tell you that when I was reading it, and again, when the movies came out, like that part, it was hard for me to get into that part of it because I was more like, all right, like it's like the tournament. All right. Like, I was more into like the interpersonal characters of like the tributes and like that kind of relationship. And I didn't care so much about the overarching TV part of it, especially in the later books when she has her own like production team and she goes out and films like commercials and stuff. I was just like, I don't really care about this part of it, this propaganda part of it.
Right.
But seeing it here is just like a little bit different, because here it's the behind the scenes of like setting up the arena and of course Caesar and like Mr. Flickerman, please tell me about the chariots and the parade, because Cinna has made sure that we make an impression. No one will forget. District 12.
Because everybody's costumes are kind of indicative to what their district is, you know, focused on: agriculture, technology, you know, transportation. And here Katniss is like, but we're doing, you know, we're miners. We're coal miners. And he goes, yeah, but coal is hot. Coal is fire. And he goes, you volunteered. Nobody has ever volunteered. You've made a statement from right out the gate. We need to keep with this momentum.
Yeah, and he does, because Mr. Stanley Tucci is like looking down the row, giving his commentary as he does on everybody, and he's like, "What is that in the distance? What is this? Is something on fire? And that girl is on fire." and she is. Katniss is on fire. They are, you know, from their jackets. It's their jackets, right? Like the backs of their jackets.
Yeah, and it's like fake fire, because he even said like, you're fine. It's just kind of an illusion, if anything.
Yep. Peeta always playing the game. Hold my hand. They'll love it. Hold my hand. They'll love it. Yay, yay, yay. Stanley Tucci loves that. I love that. He's so excited. I love him so much. I hate this penthouse. It's so ugly. I hate these chairs.
It's another one of those, you have all this money and that's what you decide to do with it.
All this money, no taste. You can't buy class, can't buy taste. It is just, it's hideous. Oh my God.
Well, and you know what's going on in their heads, because you see Katniss walk into her bedroom and she's like, this is the size of my entire house.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do like this really quiet moment of Katniss where she is in her bedroom and she puts the woods on and kind of like relaxes a little bit. And then she's like, no, I can't relax. And puts it back to the city scene because she cannot, because 2 weeks from now, more or less, there will be one victor and they have about 4 days of training where all of the sponsors get to watch everybody like work out and everything. It's very fun.
And I understand, like, okay, we talk about the scene, the training scene there. We love a montage. But Haymitch even says, don't show them your cards. Don't let them know. And Katniss is like, show them your cards. Like, they're going to eat you. They look like they're going to eat you. Would you have showed your hand, or would you have been like, you know what? Look at me like that. You're going to find out soon enough.
Well, I can't do anything. I don't have any talent, so.
Okay, well, like, you say that. That is not the case, and we're not having that conversation.
Would I show my talent if I had it? I would pull an Aelin and go like 3/4.
Okay.
Because Aelin was in her own tournament, let's not forget. Yeah, I would go like 3/4 personally. What about you?
I don't think I would show my hand.
Would you throw? Okay, here.
I have a bunch of questions. I got questions.
No, like referencing Peeta falling off the rope, which fair, that's hard. Yeah. And Katniss, I love that Katniss immediately is like, while he's on the ground, he's not even up. He's like on the ground. She's like, throw the big heavy metal thing. He's like, fuck, dude. All right, let me get up.
And you know, he had no finesse about it. He was just like, he chucked it
for
like, no other reason to be like, I am strong. I pick things up.
Yeah, like thank you, Jack Quaid, for being like, oh, he's strong. Okay, nice. We'll leave him alone.
They had like bro nods of approval.
Yeah, it's very, very Ken, very Ken. It is very funny. I'm bringing this up because it's a contention in like the fan base or whatever. Foxface is going through all of the plants and she's able to like match and identify all the plants and things. And the gripe that people have is that she should be able to identify the nightlock berries at the end. So there's a camp saying that like she did, and like she did that on purpose. Oh. And there's another camp being like she didn't, and it's an inconsistency in the story building. So it could go either way, you know, like it could go either way.
Yeah, it's the take your own. It's like, cyanide poisoning. Like, I know this is going to work in a minute. I cannot, because, yes, it's a physical tournament, but nobody talks about the mental toll that this is taking. I mean, you see it with Haymitch, and that is just a small little sprinkle of his PTSD, of his coping with his alcoholism.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Katniss deals with her PSD. I mean, deals with it in quotations. My goodness. Later on in the books and movies. But in this training montage, we do have that lady being like, don't ignore your survival skills. It's like, oh, that won't come in handy later. But Katniss is working on her traps, which does or doesn't come in handy later. And I wrote down that the odds for Rue are 60-1. And of course, like, we love Rue.
We love Rue. And it's so sad because you see those odds, and you, especially once you already read the books and know the movie, you're just like, this is sad.
It's very sad. It's very sad. Oh, you know what? Actually, speaking of sad, I was telling my mother about this, and she has seen this movie, and she says that these books and movies make her so uncomfortable. Children killing children. It's just so uncomfortable. Where it's like, this is the point. Yes, this is the point of this.
You should feel uncomfortable.
You should be uncomfortable. But like the next step isn't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So the step taken is, I will not engage with this because it makes me uncomfortable. The thoughts beyond that are not being thought. So, it's a generational thing, maybe.
It's absolutely a generational thing, because you're like, that's the point. And sometimes you need it in this different dystopian form, because that seems more digestible than what's actually reflected in the current society which we're living today.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Haymitch, this is the part where Haymitch is like, you know what? I like these kids. I'm going to get in this. This is when Haymitch starts drinking less. His hand goes over the cup when they're at dinner. Like, he starts drinking less. He's like in it. He's like, you know what? Like, now you're going to be evaluated individually. You need to make them remember you. Like, let's go. Peeta, I know you can paint because you decorated cakes. Oh, that's very important. Katniss, like, come on. Peeta is going to be trained, like, individually now, too. Like, they have split. Peeta wants to do his own thing. He wants to do his own thing after this.
Because he's also a little perturbed that she got a higher ranking than him, too.
But he's also scheming. Like, and it's easier for him to scheme and drop the bomb if she is unaware of it. Because every reaction will be genuine. So that's also part of it. So Katniss, who goes first? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. Katniss goes in and she misses her. Here's also the thing. I do like that the movie establishes that she is like kind of a crappy shot, but it's weird, right? Because Peeta says she's a perfect shot. She shoots through the eye, but we see her miss a lot. So interesting here. And in the books, they say that she's a good shot and she can shoot through the eye, and that's why everybody buys from her. But it takes 2 shots for the apples. It takes 2 shots here. She has to warm up a bit, and it's just something that I noticed this time.
Do you think it's like a situation of like when you choke, like in the stress?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Like, it's easy when there's nothing on the line.
I guess. And if it's like a skill that you're good, I don't know. But she misses her first shot, and everyone's looking. And that sucks. She nails her second shot. No one's looking.
Nobody saw. Oh, I would have been so pissed. I was like, look at that. That was great.
Well, what does she do?
And then she kind of Uno reverses on them. To them, and then she's so courteous about it. She's like, thank you for your consideration, with a mocking bow, walks out. Effie hears about it. She's like so stressed. Same, Effie, because I would have been the same. And Haymitch is like, what was it that you said? Tell me again. Tell me the story again. That was fucking awesome.
He's like, I would have given anything to see that. And his little smile and thumbs up, he's like, I love it. I love it so much. When he's with the wig. it's really wonderful. And Effie's just like, don't you understand that like your actions reflect on all of us? Which like, okay, Effie, are you my cotillion teacher? But it is just funny here that like Peeta gets an 8 and Katniss gets an 11, which is the highest out of everybody.
Yeah, because the highest you can get is 12, and they weren't going to give her a 12.
Mm-hmm. They weren't going to give her a 12. She's the girl on fire. They keep saying that now. She has like a little slogan. I like these little scenes between Donald Sutherland and Seneca being like, yo, let's philosophize. Why do we have a winner? No. Why do we have a winner? And Seneca's like, I don't know, my man.
You just tell me to jump. I say how high. And
yeah,
you know what? And I feel like that's a lot of people in the Capitol, and you can see it. I feel like revisiting this now as opposed to when I first saw it is so different, because some people are very much like, woo, Capitol life. This is the life for me. And others, like I think Senna is another perfect example, and Haymitch and Effie, they're doing this like, it's like that Gretchen Wieners. It's better to be with them than knowing what it's like to be on the outside. So it is a form of survival for them.
Oh, absolutely.
But that doesn't mean they like it. It's interesting.
Yeah. I really don't think anybody is like super comfortable in the Capitol.
Right.
What does Snow say? Snow says that a little bit of hope is effective and a lot is dangerous. And Seneca, you have to contain the spark, because having hope is good, but not too much, not too much. And Seneca's like, the fuck?
You have to control the situation. You have to control our people. The only way this works is because we're controlling we're controlling a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. And so now we have the 74th annual Hunger Games. We have these interviews by Caesar. Is there anything that Stanley Tucci can't do? No. But this is the how do you make people like you scene with Cinna. It's very sweet.
And this we get her girl on fire dress. Girl on Fire Part 2. She's, and she looks to him in the crowd because she's, it's the conversation goes stale, and then she sees Cinna and she goes, oh, do you want to see it? And then she just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and gets lightheaded and recounts her last conversation with her sister, and they have to make it dramatic. And also Stanley Tucci, I want to know what level bronzer tanner he has, because man is orange.
He's orange. The hair is blue. It is just magnificent. The smile is just it's blinding. He's perfect. He's perfect in everything, but he's perfect here. Oh my gosh. He's perfect with Peeta. Yeah. The chemistry is so good. The playing off, the smelling, it's great.
I mean, and this is just a small, again, the time, the year this movie came out. I find it so interesting that the immediate default, and I say that in quotes, is there a lucky girl at home? Like, there's no other conversation. And I mean, you talk about diversity and inclusion. Like, there's no really mention of it. Even with District 11 with Rue,
Yeah, no, not at all. And you can say like it's dystopian, but like it was a time, it was a place. We're aware of it. And what Katniss is not aware of is that Peeta is going to play this game of star-crossed lovers. Like, he's all in it. We love it.
I want to know, and is this confirmed? And it's like he has had his own plan in his head the whole time. Was he ever aligning it with Haymitch? Because I feel like he's like, no, but I can work with this.
They have been scheming a little bit, I think. Yeah.
They've all been scheming, but they've left her out of it.
Yeah, because
to keep everything authentic, like you said. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
have
know
a
if like
face,
the quote unquote
like,
and adults knew what was up to. Okay.
Oh yeah. So he's in it. That's why Cinna was like, he's right. Katniss, calm down. He's right. Haymitch is like, of course I'm right. Of course I'm right. I can sell this. I can sell star-crossed lovers.
I can sell this. Yes, because then you see the pitch later, because that's what it's always been working up to.
Yeah. And so what did Peeta say? Peeta said like, yeah, there's not a girl at home and I can't go back to her because she came here with me and like, it is what it is, which is a perfect tragedy. And that's why it's like, Haymitch is like, smart. He made you desirable. He like, right? Like, come on. This is again where Haymitch is like, Katniss, it's a TV show. Like yes, obviously awful, but also TV show. You have got to play it like that. And Peeta's the only one of the group that really like understands that. And I really love how Haymitch is just like, come on. Cause he's in it now. He is slightly more sober and he is really rooting for them and trying, which before he didn't.
The team too, like Cinna is even saying before they go, he's like, I'm not allowed to place bets, but if I could, it would be on you. I mean, even once the games start, you have Haymitch saying like, hey, look, use this generously and win. You know, what the fuck was that? You call that a kiss? Like he's invested too because he cares about, you know, whether he's going to admit it or not in book one, you know, in movie one. He's more invested than he leads them to believe.
Absolutely. I love that Katniss apologizes for going after him. This is very mirrored later on when Peeta goes after her. Spoilers. But Peeta says like all of this stuff. He's like, you know, I want to die as me. I don't want them to change me. This is all very powerful, knowing what we know about his story. Like, I don't want them to change me. I want to die as I am. And Katniss is like, yo, I don't have that. Like, I have my sister. And then it kind of like cuts to the mob of the Capitol just chanting like, hunger, hunger, which is weird. It's weird, but like, it's supposed to be weird. And it gets that emotion out of you because you're like, oh God.
And these situations that we've discussed between Peeta and Katniss leading up until this point, do you feel that you would have been the Katniss and more reserved and like, or do you feel like you would have been Peeta where it's like, are you not entertained? I have no idea. It's like one of those situations like you won't know unless you're in it.
Yeah. I wouldn't know unless I'm in it. I have absolutely no idea. None. Absolutely not. I can't even speculate because I just don't know. I just don't know.
I've been writing questions like throughout the day, so be ready.
Oh no, I love it. So 1 hour and change into this movie, Katniss goes up the tube, and here we are. She's going up the tube. She's got her tracker in. Cinna is there giving her emotional support, giving her pin.
Hidden pin. He hid it into her, which was like, I don't remember if I'm like just like blanking out right now, but does she hasn't used the pin in movie one uniform yet, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. Right. Because I was watching that and I was like, ooh, that's you could use the pin for something. Like that is for something. I was like, wait, she never used it. And then again,
never used it.
Okay.
Yep. Haymitch is telling her, like, leave the cornucopia. Do not, like, fuck with the cornucopia. Run. You need to go get water. Like, that is your job. Don't jump off the platform.
Which, okay, like, you know this because you've gone camping, you've gone hiking, you are outdoorsy to a degree. She took the water from a stale place. I understand why you have water. That is important. But I feel like any outdoorsy person survival thing, you don't touch the stale water, though.
You don't touch the stale water. You do not. But it is movie magic. It's fine. It's fine.
These are the things that take over my mind when you're like, Jessica, shut up. This isn't real.
It's not real. The tube, not real. Tube, very scary. This whole moment, again, Jess, you said in the beginning, Jennifer Lawrence, she's realizing that it's real. She's shaking. She's really starting to freak out. Cinna's there trying to comfort her. But there's only so much. You have no time between you are in the tube. Actually, no, I'm going to lie. You have a lot of time because they give you the seconds, right? But they say like you have 10 seconds. But in your head, if you count it, it's like 35. In reality, it's not 10 seconds. It's movie magic. It's movie magic. But realistically, there's not a lot of time between the tube going up and like you having to fight for your fucking life, which is of course the point. Going up on that platform.
And not being able to move.
This.
What?
Yeah. Gale is not watching this. BT dubs. They cut to Gale, and Gale's like out in the mountains, like looking out over the scenery.
He's like watching the sky, and I'm like, what's going to be in the sky? What is he looking at?
Like nothing. He's purposely not watching. Like it's his whole like rebellion, right? Because it goes back to the beginning of the thing. What if we all stopped watching? This is his little rebellion, again, which is in line with his character because of what he ends up doing. But this is his little rebellion. Like, what if we all stop watching? I'm okay. Okay. This, I talked earlier about the use of silence in this movie and about how much I really enjoy it. This massacre at the cornucopia. There is music, and the music is very haunting. But it is silence, and it is so much more moving. I think silent.
Yeah, you wouldn't. There's no type of overture that would have given it the seriousness that this deserved, because this wasn't like yes, it was cinema, yes, it was theater, yes, it's movie magic and everything, but it's this very serious thing that we, like how you said, your mother's like, I'm very uncomfortable. That's what this should be. That is what this is supposed to reflect. This isn't supposed to be like, oh, escapism.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Because 12 people end up dying here. And I don't think the added like body dying sounds and screams would have added anything. It is very moving as it is. What maybe isn't as moving is Jennifer Lawrence eating shit and flying down that hill, just like rolling. Oh, but
and not for the first time. That'll be a continuous theme throughout.
Woo. Yeah. She's got her pack. She's got a rope. She's got a canteen. She's got a tarp. She's got wire. She's kind of good to go, but not great because she has got to get water. Katniss ties herself to sleep in trees, and
smart.
So smart. Up in the trees, one, she can climb trees, but up in the trees, ties herself in. She also notices the camera, right? And, everybody's up in the sky. She sees everybody dying. She sees the person with the fire. She remembers Haymitch saying, don't light a fire. And she's like, ah. And she scoffs at that person in the tree. She sees the fire. She's like, ah. And then that person dies.
Because and of course, if you haven't read the book, then you're watching the scene, the way they do the hand motion, and she's setting up her little snares and this and that, and you're led to believe, again, if you didn't read the books, oh my gosh, Katniss made the fire and the kids approached her, but then you find out that she hears the girl that screamed that it wasn't her.
Oh yeah. What she does though is she awakes to fire because, hey, lover boy, Peeta has joined with the District 1 and 2, Jack Quaid and Cato and Glimmer and Clove. He has joined with all of them. So they are looking for Katniss, and Katniss has ventured too far away from everybody else because she's in her natural habitat. She's in the woods. She's very comfortable. So the game makers, put the forest on fire, and they herd her to the river.
Wild, because she's only 2 kilometers out. We need to get her. We need to, rear her back in. She's like, I'm fine. I'll stay solo because she's counting. That's the thing. The cannons. I think she's so smart to do that because it's is it me? How many people are left? Because if you don't keep track of that, you will wonder, am I the last one, until they have a voiceover.
Yep. So she's also burned, Katniss. She has burned her leg very badly. But the careers have seen Katniss, and she climbs up a tree as she does. I love that Cato just cannot climb a tree. He can't get up there. He gets halfway up there and he falls really hard. It's oof.
Well, his district, I think, don't they make it a point to say it's never about survival skills? It's all they just do weaponry training and tactics against fighting maneuvers. So that way they're to be volunteered at 18 typically. So it's when it reminded me of, when you play the games where you say you do your side quests first, you do all the side stuff first. So then when it comes to big bad, you're oh, this is in the bag.
Yep. You're overpowered. It's super easy. Absolutely. What isn't super easy is cutting down the tracker jacker nest. Like, oh my God, I hate just the idea of being stung by wasps. But also Haymitch is working the crowd and he gets Katniss that salve, which heals her burn. Thank you. Burns are terrible.
I felt so bad.
I know. They're just so bad.
And then she's like rubbing a salve in it. I was like, ooh,
Yep.
go special effects team.
Oof. I would never want to get stung by a tracker jacker. I never want to get stung by anything in my life, but especially something that hurts and makes me hallucinate shittily. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah, not even like a fun hallucination.
Yeah, not even. But Katniss, with the help of Rue, who alerts her to it, cuts down the nest, dumps it on the group. They all get stung. A lot of them die. And you know what? Through the hallucinations, bless Katniss, she's able to pry that bow out of that girl's dead ass body.
Yeah, I was thinking that because I was like, and this is why Haymitch said, don't go to the cornucopia. That is one of many reasons. It is a bloodbath. Don't go for the bow and arrow. They're going to try to tempt you for it. And it also shows that his faith that he had in her, you'll get it eventually. It'll be fine.
You'll get it. It's fine. It's fine. It is here where Katniss has her hallucination of her dad and the coal mining exploding, her house also exploding because like her dad blew up and then her home life blew up because her mom went catatonic. In reality, it's just Peeta screaming at her to like, move, go. What are you doing? GTFO, they're coming. Like, oh my God. And she does, but she ends up passing out and Rue helps her, wakes her up, and Katniss had passed out for like 2 days, I think, at that point. Yeah.
That was the moment that Katniss realized that Peeta was never against her. He was trying to, once again, create these alliances to help them, like, go further on. Like, we need to stay separated for as long as possible. I'm trying to, like, get one over on these guys.
Yep. This is where Rue says that, like, oh, I think Peeta's down by the river. And this is also where Rue and Katniss come up with the idea to blow up the cornucopia. That's where all of the stuff is. And they're going to light signal fires. And this is where we get the woo, 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 woo. I can't whistle very well. It's that low one. It's the low one that's hard to do. But of course we get the very ominous, I'll see you for supper. It's like saying, I'll be back. Like,
no, you never say I'll be back.
Yeah. It's like,
You're never coming back.
You're never coming back. You're never coming back. So what happens? Katniss goes through the plan. It's working pretty well. And she sees that at the cornucopia, the group has reburied the mines. And she sees one of the other tributes come in and like quickly dart through and like get some supplies and run out. And Katniss is like, okay. I'm going to shoot some apples. I'm going to shoot, I'm hungry for apples. So she shoots the apples, misses, sort of, and has to like step out into the open. It's like, okay. And then shoots again, and then the apples hit, and then everything explodes, and then she is thrown back. Now, is this the point where she loses her hearing, or is that in book 2?
I don't think her hearing's completely lost, but I will say, as somebody who just went to the audiologist today, on the captions it says high-pitched whining, but it didn't come up right away, so I was in my ears like, what is that? And then high-pitched whining. I was like, oh. It's this. It's not me.
Oh, that's funny. I know that she loses her hearing at some point and that it's fixed, and I don't think it's actually addressed in the movies, but it's addressed in the books, and it was one of the things that took me out. And I know it plays a part in book 2. Maybe that's when it happens. I don't know.
But that's the thing with the books and the movie. And this is also something that before we even decided to do this episode, you had even said to me, you have to watch the movies as their own thing. And appreciate them as such. Because I was also able to appreciate this a lot more because I remember nothing, basically. And I have not done a reread of that book either. So I could appreciate this for what it was.
I do think when Katniss is drawing the bow, it's like a weird, I know we're supposed to be like looking at her breath and like her like, whatever, but it's a weird focus on her lips and like the way that the string like pulls on her mouth and her lips. I was like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
But, I'm trying to think of 2012 was also when Arrow hit whatchamacallit, CW, and there was a whole surplus of archery going on in those next following years.
It was a lot. It was strange. It was strange. So she blows up everything, and the group kills the lookout because the lookout let everything get blown up. Kato's like, "Wah, dead."
It's like, what the fuck did you do?
Whoa,
I'm done with your shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's like, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to survive. That's really what Kato is thinking.
Yep. And then Katniss cannot find Rue, right? She cannot find Rue. She hears her screaming. Rue has been caught in a net. And then Rue is killed. It's like a boom, boom, very fast. Rue gets like right through the chest.
And
before
sad. Even Katniss saw that Rue was killed, or she was impaled. The right use of impaled, mind you. If you've been following the podcast, my issue with that word. She did not hesitate. She was like, somebody's going after, because she also sees Rue as like another little sister. And has quickly developed that relationship with her. And she was like, oh no, I'm not even going to wait for you to act. And then she turns around, and that's how she finds out that. And Rue's whole thing, when she's like, did you at least blow their shit up? She's like, yeah. She's like, bet.
Yep. And then she goes, can you sing to me? You have to win. So Katniss sings Rue to sleep, essentially. And of course, this is all on TV. So everyone is seeing this. And then Katniss like puts flowers all around her. And then she does the hand signal. And it is because of this that this moment is the moment that causes the uprising in District 11. Yep. This is, I think it's one of her family members pushes down something. And like, this is where the riots start because of this moment.
Which I absolutely love. It shows, and we'll get to it in a bit. It shows the respect that they had for Katniss, because Katniss showed the same respect to Rue. It shows, I feel like this also shows that Katniss is the only one who's self-aware enough that they're being watched, because she knows they're the camera. She acknowledges the camera to say, like, I know you're broadcasting this shit. And I think the sense of camaraderie that you have in, like, I say, quote unquote, the lower districts, because District 11 is known for their agriculture. They said, fuck this, fuck the agriculture. You're not getting shit from us, from the cap. Like, they're like, big fuck you to the Capitol, as they should. And I think that helps because they have that sense of community and camaraderie.
Did you notice during this Haymitch and Seneca scene where they're talking about, like, don't kill Katniss, give him something to root for young love? Do you notice that Haymitch is deeply out of breath here?
No.
He's like, give him something to root for, like young love. You're like, I'm like, Hamish, what were you doing? Were you like chasing after him?
FEO?
Like, what were you doing? Give him something to root for young love. I'm also interested on like how Haymitch got this meeting with Seneca Crane, like the game designer. Like, how did you do that, Haymitch? But, it's never explained. And then we get Snow talking about how he hates underdogs. And this is so real, talking to a boomer, because Seneca's like, everybody loves an underdog. And Snow goes, I don't. And Seneca goes, fuck. All right.
Seneca's just like about to throw in the towel. Yeah, he's like always like, he's one step away, like,
talking to all of our parents,
which is so weird. And I haven't seen, obviously we haven't seen, I haven't read the new prequel / new movie. Like isn't he as in Snow, the beginning of like the origin story of the Hunger Games? But I guess this aligns with the whole boomer mentality of, well, if I had to do it, then everybody should have to do it.
Yep. It's all very good.
Clearly we have some biases on this.
It's all very good because Snow's like, I don't root for underdogs. There's too many of them. Be careful. Blah, 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 blah. Be careful. Blah, 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 blah. It's so funny. It's so good. Like, show your age, buddy. But here we have Seneca just doing the exact opposite of what Snow says. And he's like, dude, there's going to be a rule change. If there are two victors from the same district, y'all can live. Y'all can live. And this is where Katniss is like, bet. Bet Peeta.
She's not even being quiet. She's just running through the woods.
She's like, Peeta! but also, like, it's been like days since Rue was like, yeah, I think he's down by the river. He's just like rotting in the water, like slowly. Here's the thing. How did he do this?
Like you're there. You have no mirror.
How did he do that?
I think this
Bleeding
line
out.
goes here.
Bleeding out. And I wouldn't be such a stickler about it if it wasn't such a perfect match when he grabs her and his little eyes open. You're like, oh, tree man.
And then she scoops him up and he's like, bark.
Yeah, and his hair is all like... It's just very funny. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's very funny. My note is dying in a river, then dying in a cave. But Katniss won't leave him because this is her thing now, right? This is her thing. And she understands now that she's got to play the game. This is where Katniss clicks in to, you know, I've got to get Peeta better. Like, we can do this and play up the romance to get Soup. And then Haymitch is like, you call that a kiss? It's good.
And then he's like, you need, like, he, as in Peeta, is like, you have to go do this. She's like, you wouldn't leave me. Why would I do this to you? And now we have to have, like, you know, big spoon, little spoon. They're all doing, they're just playing towards the crowd.
Yeah, they love it. And of course, Gale is watching now. Gale's like, you know, like doing stuff. And he's like, yeah, and then they kiss, right? They kiss and he's like, rah, rah. It's like, you're the one that said it was a TV show, my guy. Like, come on. Like, okay, but you know, it's Liam. It's Liam. How many women, Liam? 13? How many did Miley say?
Huh. We love Miley.
You know, we love Miley. Soup.
Good soup.
Good soup. You fed me once, you know, I can feed you. And this is where Peeta's like, they have their moment, right? I should have gone to you. I have liked you since we were kids. So when you had 2 braids instead of 1 and you were singing and I watched you all of the time. Say something, Katniss, say something. Like, you know, Peeta is really good. He's really good for this. It's good. But then the game makers are like, hey, come out of your cave to a sunrise feast. All of you are desperate for some items. We will have them all. This is where we get the big kiss. This is where, you know, we get, this is where Gale gets big mad. And Peeta's like, don't go, like, stay with me, like, please don't leave me. And this is where Katniss is like, I promise I'll stay with you. Ah! And she fucking leaves him the first chance she gets. Because it gets worse, like, I understand, but it's also like, I was never gonna stay.
She has to say what she has to say to get, I mean, she's, now that it's clicked for her, how she has to maneuver things, everything, I mean, it's still self-serving, just in a different way.
Absolutely. Come on. So who's at the cornucopia? 2, 5, 11, and 12. That's at the cornucopia. And Foxface goes in and out, and then Katniss is like, yo, again, I am second again. And she goes to, like, also go in and out and get her bag that is marked very nicely with 12.
I would also think that I wouldn't want to be the first in. Like, if there's some mines there, have somebody else test that shit out.
Yeah, for real. Like, go get it. But, you know, so Katniss goes and she gets, like, slammed and she's attacked by Clove. Clove is killed by Rue's partner, Thresh, very violently. He's like, you said her name. I saw you. You said it. It's intense shit, man.
I mean, every manner of murder, you know, and it's, you know how sometimes because I don't like Clove, I don't like the fighting. Obviously, it's like girl on girl fight, which is what it's a thing of we don't like here on the podcast. But then it's like, is it really girl on girl when it's everybody against everybody's survival? Yeah,
I don't think so. It's right. You know, yeah, it's all for one. Katniss gets the, fuck out of there, though. She gets the salve. She gets to Peeta. Peeta's all healed. And this is, like, behind the scenes, everyone's, like, loving this, right? They cut to it, and everyone's, like, captivated by the story. And this is where we get the mutts being created. And this is the stickler that my problem is with the mutts. It will always be with the mutts. I will die on that hill so easily, but I'll get to it. This is also where Peeta is like, Katniss and Peeta are wandering through the forest, and she's like, we need to get more food. And Peeta's like, I'll go pick some stuff. And he picks all of the nightlock berries. And this is where Katniss like freaks out. And she has like a pure freak out moment where she's like, oh my God, like you could have died. Like, holy shit, Peeta.
This is the part where I'm like, is this legit or was this for the fans?
Well, exactly. And I think that's
what he asks too.
Yeah. And like no one being able to tell is like, okay. Because then it's right after this where they find Foxface dead because she also ate the berries. And again, we talked about earlier the fan theories about that. And this is where the mutts herd everyone, I say everyone, to the cornucopia. Thresh is dead. So now it is just Cato and Peeta and Katniss. And they get to the cornucopia. The mutts are there. And there's a big fight with Cato, who's also at the cornucopia. And this is where Cato has broken. Mm-hmm. And it's very sad. Because he's like, I'm dead anyway. I didn't know I was dead until now, but I can do it. I can kill one more. Like, Cato's fucked at this point.
Yeah, he's he's even trying to convince himself that he can still kill, but he knows he's fucked.
Yeah, he's done. He's done. So Cato ends up, Katniss does some very quick work. Peeta is like a Katniss Peeta. Woo, woo.
Yeah, and she does it because Cato is expecting the arrow to go one way, but she doesn't even off Cato. She just focuses on his hand so he can release Peeta.
Yeah, and then he falls backwards into the mutts, and he's eaten alive, and then Katniss puts him out of his misery. Now, here's my gripe. The mutts in the books have the eyes of all of the other tributes. It is such an easy thing for them to have put into the movies. It's just a little bit more CGI, and it is supposed to be horrifying.
Haunting. Yeah.
It's supposed to just oh my God, because it's supposed to be their eyes. So and then Cato is alive in the books for much longer, and it's a whole very drawn out, horrific eating scene. And it's just just make the mutts have them their eye. They're in it for not any time, essentially. Just do that. But they did it, and it is a hill. It is a hill. It is a hill. The rule changes again.
Yeah, now we're back to two. Now the two people left are Peeta and Katniss, and as we know with the rule, if they're from the same district, we could have two. Now we're back to two, and they're like, we're going to change the rules again because we can do whatever we want. So back to one. Good luck.
Yep, back to one. And this closes the pattern kind of loop because this is where, it's just one victor. And this is where Katniss is they don't get to have a victor at all. Don't you trust me? Don't you trust me? We can do this. And they go to take the berries. And this is where Seneca's stop.
Yeah, they weren't even discreet about it. They were like, stop, you don't do another, and everyone's just like, haha. And they know what they did. They knew what they did.
Yeah, because they both go to eat the berries together, and they say together, and they go, and then it's rah, stop.
They didn't even wait for it to get close to their mouth. They were just like,
no. And then it's ladies and gentlemen, may I present the winners of the 74th annual Hunger Games, which is just so good, so good. But then, fanfare. But then we get the reality of it. We get Haymitch being they are not happy with you, Katniss. And Katniss is in her yellow top. They're not happy with you. This is really fucking serious. You have got to pay attention to this. Seneca, meanwhile, is being killed by having to eat a bowl of nightlock. Caesar's trying to like really spin this and like what's going on. Like Haymitch is saying like, this is what you say to Caesar. He's coaching them now, like 100% in.
Because it's also not just them. It's all of them. This is reflecting back to what Effie was saying at the beginning, where she's like, this is a reflection on all of us.
Yep. Haymitch is like, you tell them that you
made them look like fools. Yeah.
Yep.
You embarrass them. And this is still like a very dictatorship government.
Yep. He's like, so you go out there to Caesar and you say that like you couldn't stand the thought of not being with that boy. You couldn't help it. You didn't even think about it. You'd rather die than not be together. And they're dressing her now in like puffy skirts and like yellow.
Look at me. I'm so demure. I'm a princess. I'm very, yeah.
They're holding hands. They're saying that we saved each other. And then later on, they're crowned. They're both crowned by Snow, and Snow notices like the pin in her district, right? And then it's just
pissed.
He's so mad. He's so mad. And then they go home, and then it's like, what do we do at home? Like we try to forget, but it's like I don't want to forget. It's like we got to hold hands. And then Gale's there with the family, and then it's like. Woo, 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 because there's so many more. There's so many more of these movies.
And that's the end.
That's the end. But like, here's the thing. When I said earlier that like the movie isn't good until Reaping Day, I still stand by that, because from Reaping Day to the end is like, I am so in this. I'm so in this. Like,
would you, maybe this is another, you're going to be like, I don't know until I'm there. Would you have survived? Would you have made it to the end?
No, I easily would have been killed, because I have knee problems and I can't run, and I can't in a terrain like that. I have to look down all the time to make sure I don't fall. And I can't just be throwing myself down hills like Katniss. I don't have a stunt double. Like,
and you can't climb into a tree and wait it out.
Yeah, so no, I'd be dead. It is what it is. Would I do better on the beach one in the second movie? Probably not. Same issues. And it's the jungle. And it's hot. Like, no.
In no world would you survive the Hunger Games.
In no world would I want to either.
Yeah.
Because like going back to what Katniss says in the beginning, like, I don't want to have kids. Like, the world that they are currently in, because the revolution has not started. Spoilers in book 1. We're just hints of it. In that world, like, no. Why would you? Why would you? That's terrible. Like, no. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Jess, do you like this movie?
I do like it. I think I like it more now because I could appreciate it being removed from the book. I really couldn't tell you all the details that I remember from anything from the book. So I think there was a more of appreciation now. That being said, I understand, like, watching this, I was like, this is a big fucking deal. I can see why. And it should still be, like, I'm glad that we're still talking about it because, again, there's a lot of topics, just like with dystopian novels, that are still very pertinent to the world in which we live today.
Yeah. And going back to, like, what my mom said, like, when she says, like, I won't engage with this form of media anymore because it makes me uncomfortable, like, I think it's important that, like, there's a new movie coming out, like the new book is coming out, like that, maybe other people don't want to have these conversations, but a huge chunk of people do.
And the conversations are necessary to have.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're all willing to have them, and we're engaged, and like we can see the bigger picture and have the deeper conversations while still being uncomfortable. And I think that is just like awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely awesome because I think it's also, again, it's a generational thing where it's like you don't talk about X, you don't talk about Y, you don't talk about Z. And here's like, no, you have to be comfortable in being uncomfortable with these conversations, because if we don't talk about it, nothing's going to come from it, because look what happened this far. That being said, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know. Maybe we'll keep let us know if you want us to keep covering the rest of the series. Laura is our guide and sensei, as always. And I'm excited if y'all want to join us with this, and if you want us to do it. So feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. We we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.